if we can reframe entrepreneurship and tell people, don't follow the next trend. It's not about is cannabis hot, or crypto is hot, or real estate is hot, or apparel is hot, or coffee is like, no.
Coffee's always hot.
Yeah, there you go, brother. No. What do you like, Susan? What do you like, Enrica? What do you like, Jonathan, Johan, Samuel? What are you about? You're into music? Okay. Through hell or high water, your business needs to be about music, because here's why. I promise you, to everyone who's listening, if you make $318,000 a year doing music, you will be 4 billion times happier than making $730,000 a year in real estate.
100,000%. The number of friends from business school who went into management consulting and banking, where you make the most money, almost all of them are terribly miserable, just
vulnerable. They're vulnerable.
Substance abuse.
Yeah.
They make millions of dollars a year, but it's not worth it because you're selling your life to do that.
You're vulnerable. Even the ones, Dave, that don't fully crack, right? The ones that don't do substance abuse, the ones that don't have infidelity, the ones that don't do whatever humans do, food, many people just eat their way out of their, because they had the gene to not use drinking and drugs, but they're using food. Or something that people don't see, they use weekends and holidays and interests to deal. Here's one, my friends who are listening, again, respecting the living shit out of this audience, having a good sense of what Dave's built here from afar. I know how thoughtful the people are that are listening to this podcast and what journey they're on. I don't know where they are in their journey, but I get this, I have a sense that you're on this journey for more thoughtfulness and all this stuff. You have to hear what I'm about to say. My friends, if you're a human being that wakes up on Friday and you're ecstatic for the day to end, and you wake up on Monday and you are crushed that the week is starting, you are not in a good place. I'm telling you, you're not. It doesn't mean you don't love your family and what you do on the weekend. That's remarkable. But if you're in a place where you are so not fulfilled at work that you live for the weekend, and we're filming this, I don't know when you're gonna put it out, but we're filming it on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And all of us are excited in America and other places that, obviously it's fun to spend time with family, and I know that all the jokes at Aunt Sue and all that, but it's great, and vacation and late August and Christmas, I get it. But I'm talking to the people, and I'm hoping you're listening to this randomly on a Friday or Monday and this hits you in the core. My friend, if you are really unhappy, I'm not naive. I love when people think and consume my content and they think I'm delusional. I'm aware that
you're not.
I know that you have debt. I know that you have bills to pay. I'm talking that happiness is worth fighting for. Happiness is worth selling your home to get out of debt and rent a house or an apartment, even though all of you are not doing this because of judgment. Happiness is worth fighting for. If your job is killing you, don't come home and use Netflix or food or alcohol or video games or go into your favorite sports team's games as your escape from work. Use those evenings to crush on LinkedIn to get a job offer to get you out of it. If you're 49 and you're sitting and listening to this, which many 49-year-olds will, given our audiences, I can't let you, out of the goodness of my heart and I'm a hoper. I love to hope. I will hope. I can't let you just throw up your hands and say, well, it's not in the cards for me to enjoy my professional career. Gary, you don't get it. I'm pretty good. My teenagers are 15 and 14. Just a couple of more years and I think that's worth fighting for. Challenge yourself. Look, we've known each other long enough where maybe you noticed somewhere about 8 or 9 years ago, my physical health got better. I got better. Yeah. And when I tell you, nothing on earth comes less natural to me than eating well and working out. And I mean nothing. And I lived my whole life being a poor student, but being successful, being liked and being successful. And so I thought I was one of these people who was crushing what came easy to them and punted right? Because I wasn't even willing to get C's. I got D's and F's. So I thought in my 20s, oh, I know who I am. And I saw that in my mother. If it comes natural, quadruple down superhero.
Smart.
If it would, and I agree. And I still believe in that. But what I thought was, doesn't come natural, punt. I'll give you one in business and in life that I struggled with. Garyvee on a podcast like this, candorous at a Hall of Fame level. Gary Vaynerchuk, the human being at work, if he liked you, which usually happened within the first 2 days of you working for him, could not be candorous because he didn't like delivering bad news, which led to all the sloppiness in my career.
You know, same here. That's you could almost say that twice. Yes, you gotta be kind, not nice.
That's right. There's I hope I can find my book. I don't see it. Let me know. Anyway, my last book, 12 and a half, I see it there, but I won't make a mess of it. I call it kind candor. My half, I talk about 13 traits that I think are really needed to win the game. One man's humble, subjective point of view of business and being a leader. And I called it 12 and a half because I wanted to be vulnerable and say, this one's a big one. It's called kind candor. I'm only at a 5 out of 10 right now. And by the way, that might be nice, me grading my own homework. Today, I'm probably a 4 out of 10. But fuck, 3-4 years ago, I was a 1 out of 10. And when I look back at my 25 years, the only people that know me, that don't feel remarkable about me, were people that I wasn't able to be candorous to and I had to fire, and I surprised them because I didn't warn them. And more importantly, now that I look at it, the reason I used to think it was good that I wasn't deploying kind candor was I didn't want people to be scared. And I hate fear. Dave, when I tell you what I spend a lot of time thinking about is how people weaponize fear on everything and how much it breaks my heart. Well, I thought I was doing this great thing as a boss because people weren't scared. What I realized, the lowest point of my professional career was when I realized, oh my God, people now really know me in my company, and because they know they might get surprised fired because they've seen it happen to others, they're actually scared. My lack of candor is creating fear, and it's changed everything for me personally, professionally. And so anyway, I know I'm bouncing around because I'm excited to be on this show, and I'm hoping somebody gets value out of this talk.
There's great value. You're teaching people the stuff they don't teach you in business school about how to think.
I think so. Like I think these things really fucking matter. I think the EQ part of life, IQ is getting commoditized. Fuck with AI, I mean like fuck. The IQ is getting commoditized. It's the EQ. With the amount that the world works, even though we've got it better, we're better than we've been with work-life balance in America. Other parts have it better. By the way, on work-life balance, some people are a pig in shit working 70 hours a week. Some people are devastated working 25 hours a week. When it's not right, you must fight to change it, even if you have to take a step back in front of all your family and friends with your luxuries. Go exchange the BMW to the dealership and drive a Toyota. Don't go to the Four Seasons when you go to Disney. Go to the Holiday Inn like I did when I was a kid. Like, it's okay. Don't buy I'm sorry on this one, David. Don't buy $7 coffee, make your own tea for a little while, reform your dollars to give you the breathing room to reset your life, because if you do not like what you do, it encapsulates your entire, it suffocates everything. That's entrepreneurship, that's work, that's my relationship with it. And just like with food and mentality, we've made huge advancements in the last 20 years. I don't believe that we've gotten to the 301, 401 conversation. I believe what I'm talking about today, which is not the common talk of entrepreneurship, will become the normalized talk in 25 years. That we'll understand that the joy of the process, not the riches we get from it, is the game of entrepreneurship and work, and that is what we have to fight for. My point of view is how long you been doing the side thing?
Since 2022, Feb 2022.
Okay, so it's a baby.
Yeah, it's fairly new. Yeah.
It's a baby.
Yeah.
2 years old is a baby.
I know. I just want it to grow.
No shit. But I don't know if you heard, but 2-year-olds shit their pants still.
I mean, well, when you put it like that, yeah, it's a baby. It's a baby.
I'm gonna put it like that. You got a 2-year-old business, it's a fucking baby, it shits its pants.
Yeah. Great analogy.
Good news. You're young as shit. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Do you?
I mean, I feel like this is just not where I saw myself at 31.
What the fuck are you seeing yourself at 31 for?
I just was hoping to be a little bit further along than where I'm at right now.
Why?
Because I feel like time is just that's all we have. And
you're going to live for 70 more years. You're a 31-year-old in 2024 with modern medicine exploding. You're going to live to 100.
Yeah. It feels like time
watch this.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat, tell me how old you are right now. Tell me how old you are in the chat right now. And then tell me when you've figured it out. Yes, listen, you're a kid. Here's what I'm hearing. Look at all these ages. Like, you're just starting. And we're on Twitch. Look at these numbers. We're supposed to be all 16, but we're not. The problem here is, how's the business? Like, in the first 2 years, it sounds like you got something going, a little something.
I mean, we've had some sales, but I definitely I want to grow it at a larger scale. I want to see.
Well, how much social media are you putting out?
Not as much as I should, to be honest. I don't post enough. Yeah.
How much? How many posts does your business post a week on social media? Don't lie, because I'll look it up and I'll fucking.
No, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, barely enough. Like, we'll post during the holidays, and that's like it. Like, I barely have enough. Like, I really don't have enough time.
If you saw Abby's face right now, I'm gonna go TikTok. Abby's face is. They know when I hear once a day, I'm mad. You said we once posted during Christmas. You came on this fucking show. I'm out here talking about day trading attention. I want you fucking posting. I want your business posting 4 to 20 times a day.
Oh my God.
And you had the audacity to come on this show and said, we posted on Thanksgiving once.
Oh, I feel blasted. Yeah.
That's like coming on a show and be like, yo, I don't know why I ain't got a 6-pack yet. And I'm like, cool, let's talk it out. How many times have you done ab exercises? And you're like, once.
But that's the thing. Like, I'm trying to balance that and my job, and trying to find the medium.
You just sat here and told me you're fucking on work 3 hours a day at night. The fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
A lot of people work on side shit and they stand in front of the computer and try to make pretend they're doing something. A lot of people go to the gym and fucking go on their phone on the treadmill and walk at a fucking snail's pace and watch their fucking Netflix show and make pretend they went to the gym for an hour where they didn't break a fucking sweat. A lot of dudes go in the gym and start throwing around weights. Now that I'm educated, big shout out to Mike Vacanti and Jordan Syatt. I go to an Equinox once in a while because I'm traveling, and I see dudes go for the vanity and start throwing around weights and fucking doing curls, swinging their whole fucking body. They're not building their fucking shit. You can't fucking move when you do your shit. These motherfuckers are like this and this on some ego shit. They're in for an hour. They're not accomplishing anything. I'm worried that you're going on fucking the computer 3 hours a night and bullshitting.
Definitely not that.
So what are you doing?
Just all of the tasks that I couldn't get throughout the day.
Like what?
Just
because before you say anything, ready for this?
Yeah.
You're gonna love. Yeah, exactly. Like, before you tell me anything, the number one task for a business that doesn't have enough customers is to market.
Yeah.
What are we doing? If you don't have customers, you have nothing.
Yeah. You're right.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I may not know about a lot of things. This isn't a cooking show. This is not a show about how to get your lawn real green and healthy. This is not a show about how to make perfect fucking roasted coffee. This is a big show, and that's what I do, and I know I'm right. And I want this for you. I'd rather you just relax and enjoy your fucking evening so you're not burnt out than to not do the fucking right strategy on the 3 fucking hours that you're on.
Yeah, I think I need to dedicate more time to like posting on social media so that we can reach.
You have to post 2 posts a day for your business and post them on TikTok so people discover it, because you might go viral, you might get more views. Instagram's hard, but you should do it. Facebook's a monster. Facebook fan page, you should absolutely do that. Pinterest, like you gotta fucking, if you're giving me 3 hours a night, I need an hour for social.
Okay.
And before you go into what's next, like, what do I post? You have a million businesses that are in your business, go look at their shit.
Okay.
You know.
I can do that.
I know, you know, I can see it in your fucking face.
I can do that.
Customers, what the fuck are you doing? That's like opening a store, having no customers and fixing the shelves.
I know, it sucks. Like, nobody wants a store with no customers.
Well, get some fucking customers.
I'm gonna get some customers.
You're absolutely right, bro. I'm petrified about talking shit I haven't lived because I don't know the answer unless I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for seeing that.
Love it, dude. Love it. And so, like, the way I look at it with humility is overrated. I make a distinction between internal and external. So you were just talking to a lovely lady who's worried about starting a podcast, right? She got 5 siblings. And what is she worried about? Being judged. And
Yes.
I see a synonym between being judged and what do some of those people say? They say, who do you think you are? Stuff like shit.
Right, right.
Who do you think you are, right?
Yeah.
Well, don't get too big for your britches.
Right.
And they put people in this box of like, be humble. Don't get your head out over your sleeve. You see what I'm saying? Like on the inside, internally, the more you know you don't know. That's a total humility right there. But it's sort of paradoxical. The more you know you don't. So yes, you always need to stay humble on the inside. But how do you get attention? How do you put yourself out there when you can so easily be beat on the outside with this box of humility? Does that make sense?
Very much. Now I understand. Because as you can imagine, words are all contextual. So what you're saying is, I love that. To your point, I'm such a buyer of that. So many people, I believe that the insecure, one of my favorite sayings, I don't use it a lot. I don't bring it up a lot. But to your point, this pandemic of misery loves company is real. The reason and I fully agree with you, the reason people say to you, stay in your lane, who the fuck do you think you are? You're not as good as you think you are, is because that's how they feel about themselves. Mm-hmm. So I'm in full agreement there. I think that if you're using it in that context, I don't view that as being humble. I view that as being scared.
Right.
You know, I so understand the word you're using and I fully agree. I actually think, and I love how you said that, the more you know, the more you don't know. That's the whole point of this for me. Like, I talk with unlimited levels of conviction, but I also have incredible capacity to not want to convince people. This is the biggest issue in the world right now. Everyone's trying to convince people to see the world the way they see it. I have no interest in convincing anyone the way I see it. I'm just convicted about my perspective with the hope that it brings value to some people. And so, you know, I fully understand where you're coming from. But I couldn't agree more. Your point of outside versus inside. I don't even hear people when they say that thing. And I think, to your point, too many people are living for outside validation. But I actually think the people that are most successful oftentimes are either in extreme insecurity or extreme humility. It drives them, you know? Everything is hard.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
Life is like, I love where this is a very interesting topic because I'm a buyer. I love America. I'm an entrepreneur. I love capitalism, but when things go too far, it's not good. Like, to your point, popular culture of what's good and what's successful. Like, I'm like such a buyer of like, what do we put out in culture, right? But I also think it goes both ways. Let me explain. So where you're going, I'm such a buyer of. If it's pounded in our face constantly, this is what success looks like, it's hard. On the flip side, we do things like give 8th place trophies to kids now because we think that's the right thing to do. Like, we're always as a society gonna get into places where we go too far left, too far right, which is why the first part matters, which is if you don't have the capacity to be humanly accountable to you, here's a good example, back to fatherhood and kids. Your parents told you things, the world told you things. There are things that you decided to do differently.
Right.
The end. So just because the world's telling you a fucking Gucci belt is the right thing, well, I'm telling you it's not. So who are you gonna listen to? This person or that person? There is always a counter voice. And a lot of counter voices. There's unlimited people that tell you money's horrible. And corporations are horrible. To me, this is an important point. I think this is very big because I don't think there's right. I think there's right for you, and the more that we give the power away and blame parents, corporations, social media, this, that, and the other thing, the further we're getting away from the truth, which is we're capable. I believe in humans.
You just hit it though. That's my problem. My problem is you have to know that you are responsible. Listen, as somebody who's really deep into mental health.
Yes.
You are responsible for your own well-being. You really are. Nobody else is. You're responsible for your own happiness. If somebody else is making you unhappy, that's just how you are reacting. That person, you can't change that person.
That's right.
You can only change how you react to that person. And all the divisiveness that we have in our world now, politically and socially, yep, is because people go, well, we hate them. You know what they're doing? This is why I can't afford. This is why I'm not up there. This is why I'm not happy.
And that doesn't take away systematic truths. Like, well, when you go off the gold standard, when there's a bigger separation of wealth, like I'm not an absolutist. I'm very purple when it comes to a lot of these conversations. I don't find myself very red or blue.
Neither do I.
And so to your point, I believe in everything you said, comma, there's also other macro circumstances, right? Like there's a million things that go on in life. Here's my thing though. The second you decide that you can't, it's over. And one thing I know for sure is the world is how you see it. If you decide there's shit and it sucks and it's the worst, you can find it all day long. And if you decide it is good and opportunistic and good, you can absolutely find it all day long. And so the question becomes, do you have the capacity to adjust? You can't believe what's going on in advertising. It's so wild. They will hold up a billboard outside or literally a newspaper ad or a television commercial, and they will talk all day about AI is coming and let's do stuff in the metaverse, and yet most of the Fortune 500 companies in the world barely think about social media advertising. It's insane to me.
Well, listen, I'm living right now in getting paid and enjoying the fact that I'm on broadcast television.
Broadcast television is different than television commercials. Every time I talk about advertising and marketing and entertainment, people are like, yeah, but Gary, people are watching live sports. I'm like, watching live sports has no correlation to are you watching the second commercial in between a Browns-Bears football game for Budweiser. So to your point.
But the fact is, I just saw you on CNBC talking about, on Black Friday when Amazon is now the broadcaster of football.
On the Black Friday game.
On the Black Friday game.
Yep.
I would imagine, just as a human being, just do it. If you see something right now.
With a QR code, boom, boom, boom.
Boom.
My brother did it during the game. The Gillette razor commercial came up. Everybody now knows how to use a key.
Really, or you just represent Gillette?
He really did, and we really represent Gillette. I was gonna get to that point. He's like, I wanna see how this works, and it's just insane. Like literally the commercial runs, he hits the QR code, it's Amazon, which is the easiest shopping platform in the world.
Right.
And he's like, we were talking about it, we're like, this is insane. Like, look where marketing is now. Forget about like, you saw a great commercial, where's the beef? I saw that commercial in the 80s. I'm like, Mom, I want to go to Wendy's instead of McDonald's. That was unheard of. That's how powerful that commercial was.
That doesn't do it anymore.
It does, by the way. It still does. Mr. Beast has something in his video. It still does.
Oh,
but the speed, just the fact that AJ could buy the, yeah, that's it.
The accessibility.
It's lack of friction.
Media, I know that brands will want something on social media where they could put a link, so it's accessible right then, right there. You can buy it in that moment.
But not that I'm shitting on my bosses at social media, but I don't know that the companies are getting the same value
They're not, but here's the good, your current bosses, like on network TV, the good news is they're all in the streaming and business, right? Like, it's an evolution. Like, you know this, because you're an icon, and this is fun to give roses as well. You grew up in the entertainment, Hollywood ecosystem. Well, let's get these kids, and I mean everybody who's listening to this, a lot of the biggest platforms came from radio to television. Right? Some of the most iconic names that you probably as a kid, your grandparents thought were the biggest stars, they started off on radio.
Right.
And then the television was invented.
Right.
And then they were on television. So when I have...
Now it's social media.
That's correct. And the television form is now going to be streaming. And streaming, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, the way they're gonna sell ads looks more like Instagram and Facebook than it does look like NBC in 1995, because they have all the data. And when you have the data, you can make the ads more targetable. I don't wanna see ads that have nothing to do with me.
Right, but what's really tough, and listen, I'm an old guy. You're still a kid compared to me. I'm an old guy. These corporations are like the Titanic,
No shit.
And they see the iceberg ahead, and they can't steer away from it. Well, and I love that nothing is the same. And if you talk about radio, you look at what a hit was, what music sounded like in 1960, even in 1970, classic rock, which I love.
Yeah.
That doesn't speak to who is listening to music right now.
Led Zeppelin does not sound like mumble rap from the south side of Atlanta, and that's evolution.
Right.
But to your point, you know who else is a big ship going to an iceberg?
No.
Humans. Let me explain. I love when people are like, oh, these corporations, they don't get it, they're slow. And I'm like, you were slow. 5 years ago, I was making unlimited content saying, go to TikTok, go to TikTok, go to TikTok. But this is me talking to a friend. This is an actual conversation. I'm like, you had 500,000 followers on Instagram, and that made you feel good. And even though you knew me, and know I've always been right about this shit, you didn't have the humility to move to TikTok and start at 0, because you were just nice and comfortable here. And do you know how many people listening right now that are influencers all know exactly what I'm talking about, which is 3-4 years ago.
No, I know.
They were like, no, that's just...
I have 11 million followers on TikTok because of you. Because I went there.
I saw.
Okay, so, but the point is...
But real quick.
Yeah.
Because this is powerful. The fact that you did, and the fact that so many kids that intimately know me and follow me blindly, and fans that I'm friends with and acquaintances, all of them held on and didn't want to, speaks to curiosity, not being a corporation. All those people are one person. They should have been able to move like this.
Comfort is not good.
No shit. When I think about somebody in my life who makes $67,000 a year and genuinely enjoys every day and wakes up Monday through Sunday thrilled and has the things that make them feel fulfilled, their family, a job that they like that's only 9 to 5 because that's why they're making $67,000, but that gives them unlimited capacity to be part of the bowling team and go to everything that their kids do, and it allows them to work on their music at night, and they are thrilled. And the way more people I know that make millions of dollars a year that are in dark ass places. I can go in my phone right now from A to Z and rattle off the record to you one by one, hundreds of people I actively know right now that are not in good places, who make unlimited money.
Well, I'll tell you, I've had a lot of struggles mentally and just maintaining happiness, and I do well and have done well, but and my issues are biological sometimes.
That's right.
And
that's a circumstance.
That is a circumstance.
And it's a real one for people.
But I've figured out how to.
Well, this is why you have so much conviction for this subject. You have so much conviction for this subject, and so you've found your way to work through it. And so you are deeply passionate that you know there's other people on the other side of this listening, and they don't think they have a capacity, and they do.
We all do.
I know, brother, I believe it. Why do you think I'm so fucking happy every day? I believe.
Are you a happy guy?
Yes, I'm an extremely happy guy.
Do you work hard to be happy? Is
No.
it something you constantly work at?
No, I don't. I know people who have 200,000 but are always in debt. Are making 200,000 a year, and it's so funny because I talk to many of my employees. I can't say all because they don't all take me up on my open door policy, and I don't get to everyone. But it's crazy because I'm so well known as an entrepreneur. But I'm the CEO of this company, and I speak to kids all the time that work for me. They will often bring up that their parents were entrepreneurs, if they were, or anti-entrepreneur, right? Like one of the two, like a union man, right? Like whatever it might be. And it's really interesting, this is so cliche, I'm sure this will land for everyone. It's interesting to watch them then react to that, right? They either go all in on it or they go all out on it. And the ones that go all out on it tend to be the ones that lived in families, regardless of how well they were doing, always stressing about money. Because there's also the other part in society that we've lost, which is there's making money, but there's also saving money.
Yeah.
And Dave, you and I grew up when people talked about saving money. There are people that I know, and especially in this new world with inflated dollars like you just talked about, who make $1 million a year and don't have a dollar to their name because they're buying dumb shit.
Yeah. It's a real problem. I kind of cringe when I see, guys with, 25 with a Ferrari and all that. Even if you have the money when you're 25, you probably don't need to buy a Ferrari.
I cringe less about the savings and money. I always ask myself, does he need that to patch up an insecurity? Yeah. Are we using things to make ourselves happier? Which gets me all the way back. I'm sorry, audience, but I'm coming all the way back to the answer to your question. What would I say to 25 or 45-year-old, depending on start or transition? Please pick something you actually like.
It hasn't changed that much.
No.
Because of AI or anything like that.
No, because I think it's incredibly hard. And if you're gonna build something for yourself, you don't know if you're destined to have a $10 million business or a $300,000 business. But if you love it, if you love Star Trek more than anything in the world, and you want to build a business around that passion, you start a podcast, you make content for social media, that then leads to Creative Commons product like t-shirts, or you create anything. Literally, that's what's so amazing about the world now. You create anything, anything from a beanie to a protein powder that maybe is a slang term that Spock said in episode 4 of season 3. I don't know Star Trek very well, but I'll use Star Wars. Greedo was my favorite Star Wars character, tier 7 character in the Star Wars ecosystem. But when you know something deeply or you love something deeply, we live in an unprecedented time in the world where the internet, the blockchain, AI, you have the mobile device. You and I, when we started our stuff back in the day, we didn't live in this lucky time where we could have just done organic content and got free distribution. Dave, social media is free distribution. Do you know how insane that is? I've been in the lab. And what that means is I've been in my head. People see me, especially people that don't know me as well here, may see me super loud, super New Jersey, maybe a couple curse words. And I'm very empathetic to the first glance, being like, is this guy for real? He's a blowhard. Other people love it and it clicks, just how the world works. But what's ironic is when people see me on social media or on stages, I'm talking the whole time, right? Even in this format, I'm gonna speak a lot. I even get excited at times and interrupt you, so I apologize in advance to everyone who's listening. But the reality is I spend most of my time actually thinking. My favorite thing in the world is the shower, is the walk to work, is the long flight. And so I've been in the lab a lot in my own head for the last year especially on the concept of redefining success. I think about root cause, right? I think about when I think about health and wellness, I think about the food system is very entrepreneur. America's a capital. Listen, I'm an entrepreneur. I love capitalism, but when capitalism, like anything in life, goes too far, it does things like what's going on with our food situation, and right? Things like that. I think about these things.
It's funny. I wouldn't have pegged you as someone who would call that out on the show. And maybe I'm just being, like you're such a broad spectrum entrepreneur, but more media. So you're worried about the food supply too.
I think about clean eating a lot.
Yeah.
I think about laws. I think about the fact that grass-fed can be worked around, but grass-finished can't.
So when did this come online for you? Because I don't know that 10 years ago this was in your conscious field. What changed for you?
In general, I would argue that most of the good that's happened in my life is curiosity. And I'm also a kid that was born in the Soviet Union. So for example, my great-grandma Anya, when we moved to New Jersey out of Queens, the first day she visited, in the morning when I woke up, she made me go walk outside barefoot on the grass.
No kidding. So Grandmothers are always biohackers if they were trained by their grandmothers, right?
Right, especially from the old country, right? My grandma spent her first 75 years in the Soviet Union, which is 50 years behind America. So, or fasting, like because I grew up in my dad's liquor store, I didn't eat breakfast or lunch my entire life. I still don't, predominantly. So there's, so anyway, obviously I'm very aware of your audience, and it's funny because the reason I'm bringing these things up is it's how I see entrepreneurship. So I love entrepreneurship because I think it is one of the arenas in the world that allow people to maximize their joy. I love building businesses the way I see my friends who are poets, how I see my friends, I see entrepreneurship today, unlike when you and I played with it in the mid-90s, even that short ago. Now it's cool. So now kids are forcing themselves to be entrepreneurs, and that scares me. I want people to be entrepreneurs if they are entrepreneurs, but I'm petrified if somebody does it because they think it's the cool thing to do.
Thanks for saying that.
Well, because you know this, Dave, like it's really lonely and hard, and it hurts your self-esteem because unlike school, you can't hide when you fail in entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Do you hear that interview with the founder of NVIDIA?
I did not.
Well, they asked him, what would you tell yourself, back when you and a friend were in your college dorm starting NVIDIA, what advice would you have? And his advice was, don't do it. It was, you have no idea how much suffering this is going to cause you.
Yeah, and I don't...
He's one of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet, right?
Well, it's funny. I don't know him, and I've heard many people say that through the years, and I don't think they actually mean it. I think it's a soundbite.
Sure.
For example, I think when you're a purebred entrepreneur, this is gonna be a left field one. I actually think the adversity is the most delicious side dish.
Yeah, because if you're used to fighting.
Correct.
It changes though. I've heard your stuff has changed as well. So for me, at the beginning, it was, even before Bulletproof, just in tech entrepreneurship, it was like, I'm gonna prove something to the world or to myself, and probably more to the world. Like I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna push.
This is very common. I think there's two fuels. I think there's chip on shoulder.
Right, I certainly had that.
And I think a lot of people have that, but I'm very fortunate. And I don't love using the word luck, but this is as black and white like luck to me as possible. Between my DNA, the mother who was a suffocating force of positivity and optimism.
Suffocating optimism,
but practicality, not modern parenting where you also add delusion, which eliminates merit. Incredibly optimistic and positive and sunshine, but held me accountable, a word that has completely disappeared from modern parenting. And circumstance. I believe if I was born in America as a third generation DNA of my family entrepreneur, my life would have looked very different. But I was born in the Soviet Union and came here and grew up with the struggles that gave me outrageous perspective to gratitude. I believe, Dave, that the greatest gift is when you are born, if in the first 10 years of your life, you are not in incredible means, you're lower middle class and below. This is the greatest way to be born. That money is not a thing in your family yet, or maybe ever, but you have unlimited happiness. You've been taught, you've been built, you've been affected by money is not the variable of happiness. In the same way that I was on Prodigy and then the internet on the E. Robert Parker, Mark Squires bulletin board talking about wine to find my community and then make them aware of Wine Library, you and I had to spend hours, countless hours of building community to have a community. Today, Wine Library TV started on February 21st, 2006. YouTube itself was launched on December 15th, 2005. Within 2 months, or roughly a little more than 2 months after YouTube existed, I started a long-form wine show about wine on YouTube. I made a 20-minute video, I posted it. 19 people watched it, maybe. today, 2006 Gary, with his, which I was born with, my charisma and capability to communicate, and my wine knowledge at that point was more than half my life because I started learning about it at 14. That first video, Dave, might be watched by 800,000 people, the first one.
Wow.
I mean, it could also have gotten 80, but anybody who's listening right now, let me just give you the universal truth. If you do not take social media seriously in 2024, it doesn't mean you're gonna go out of business. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It doesn't mean that you're like whatever, but you are absolutely missing out on opportunity to create your thing. That is incredible in the speed and time, if you produce content on the internet, of building awareness and opportunity, because the algorithm now is letting the creative find its audience. When I started doing social back in the mid 2000s, and you and everybody else, all of us, when we started doing 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, MySpace, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, it was more like email marketing. You have to make content and slowly but surely build a following, AKA a list. And then you would post, and 30 or to 40%, just like email newsletters, of your audience would see it. Today, what we have is the interest graph, not the social graph. The social graph was build a following, post. The interest graph is make something and let the algorithm, the AI, find the audience of the billions of people it has on the platform. That is remarkable.